What was your experience with the fast?
I thought it would be challenging, but I didn't know how challenging until I was actually doing it. Day one wasn't too bad at all. I actually got through day one pretty easily. Day two was started becoming a little more difficult, and I started seeing my body change in different ways, and then noticing the hunger a lot more. And then day three, it was brutal, man.
I feel like God told me I needed to fast, and it just so happened. I've never gone 3 days without having any food. I've done fast before to where it's like you go through the whole day without food, and then you break your fast in the evening, right? I've done a lot of those, but I've never gone 3 days without no food. And so when he told me that, immediately I was scared. I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm gonna do that.
We did this fast to essentially grow closer to God, right?
Yeah.
We're not doing it for mental clarity reasons or any of that. And that's not true for me.
Welcome to Beyond Logic, the podcast that challenges the way you think, questions the status quo, and dives deep into life's biggest challenges. Here we go beyond what's seen, beyond what's obvious, and beyond mere logic. If you're ready to think deeper, challenge your perspective, and step into a greater understanding of life, this is the place for you. My name is Frank Kenny, and this is Beyond Logic. Yo, welcome to another episode of Beyond Logic, episode number 9. We're making progress. We're making growth. So today, I want to talk about like a personal experience that we've undergone, myself, Frank Kenny, and Mr. Kai over here. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're jumping straight into this episode. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we went a fast. And see, a lot of times when I told people this, like, oh, like I'm gonna do a fast too. Like, you have to understand like what type of fast that we actually did. And so we underwent a spiritual fast. It was myself, Kai, and a group of other God-fearing men seeking after God's heart. That was the main reason that we did the fast. It wasn't for any physical performance enhancement or from a brain clarity perspective. It was a spiritual fast because we wanted to seek more of God and further deepen the relationship with Him. And it's something that we highly recommend for anybody to do. And so we're going to talk about that experience in today's podcast. What was it? What did the fast consist of? And again, we already talked about the reason why. But yeah, that's what we're going to talk about in this episode today. So yeah, let's dive straight into it. First of all, let's jump into it. Like, what was your experience with the fast?
Man, it was, honestly, I thought it would be challenging, but I didn't know how challenging until I was actually doing it. I found myself in moments of just complete despair. Yeah, dude, it was tough at some point.
Nah, it was tough. It was tough.
But
yeah.
honestly, like day one, it was okay. Day one wasn't too bad at all. I actually got through day one pretty easily. And day two, it started becoming a little more difficult.
Yeah.
And I started seeing my body change in different ways, and then noticing the hunger a lot more. And then day three, it was brutal, man.
Yeah.
Day three was very hard for me. I mean, we were working next to each other for a good half of that day.
Wait, day 2 or day 3?
Day 3.
Oh, okay.
And we were just like, I don't know if it's the psychological effect of like, okay, I'm going to break my fast tonight. So I'm like, like tensing up for it. But day 3 was rough, man. Day 3 was like a lot of way more of the hunger. The pain actually started on day 3, So it's just for context. It was a full fast, no food, for me, I only drank coffee and a little bit of salt, and that was it, nothing else. Mm-hmm. And then, I didn't want to taste anything, for me. How about you, man? How was the fast for you?
Nah, it was good. It was good and it was bad. And I'll talk about the good and the bad. The reason it was good, because I think it's something that I honestly needed to do. It wasn't something that I was planned. I feel like God told me I needed to fast, and it just so happened. Because how this actually how this came to be, we're at church on Sunday, right? And then a group of us at church they're talking about doing a fast, and Kai comes to me, he's like, "Yo, are you gonna do this fast?" I'm like, and there's no chance I'm gonna do this, right? Because I've never gone 3 days without having any food. I've done fast before to where it's like you go through the whole day without food, and then you break your fast in the evening, right? I've done a lot of those, but I've never gone 3 days without no food. And so when he told me that, immediately I was scared. I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to do that. That was my first reaction, right? And then that evening, on that Sunday, I get added into a group chat with, I think it was like a group of 5 of us, right? And I'm like, oh, snap. And so
I remember seeing you in the group.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, did Frankie decide to do it?
Yeah.
And then, no, you didn't. You just got at it.
Yeah. And so I don't know what happened, but in that moment, I'm like, I already told Kai that I wasn't gonna do it. I wasn't expecting to be in this group chat. I'm like, the only reason, and I think it was just like the state that I was in that time. I think I was in like in the prayer. I think I was talking to God at that time, and then I received this group chat, and I'm like, oh snap! I guess I need to do that, right? It's like when God calls you to do something, like you need to answer. So like I feel like that's one of those things, and so I decided to do the fast, right?
Wait, but just on a caveat, I thought it was so funny.
Why?
On the text message. Like, I remember seeing you, and I was like, I didn't know he agreed to it. And then I realized you didn't agree to it because you're like, I guess we're doing this.
That's literally what I
laughed so hard.
Yeah, that's literally what I said. I guess we're doing this after seeing like the message that Georgie sent out. So yeah,
Georgie's a friend of ours from church.
Yeah. Shout out to Georgie for that. Honestly, shout out to you for doing that. And so just to continue on this, I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, I won't share too much of the intricate details that I did in between the fast. I mean, before the fast, but the first day was very difficult for me because of what I did the night before, right? Again, I won't tell you what I did the night before. The first day was very difficult, very, very difficult for me, right? I woke up, my head was hurting. I'm like, what the heck is going on, right? And then I'm like, oh, I'm fasting today. It's like I had to like remind myself, oh, I'm actually like fasting today. And in my specific reaction, I'm like, wait, what is this? Like, why are we doing this fast again? Like, that's a question that I ask myself. Like, why are we doing this fast again? How long is the fast again? What is the details of the fast? And then I started getting these thoughts in my head. Wait, like, are they serious? Do they really want to fast for 3 days? So I went back in the group chat. I was looking at the details. Honestly, I was looking at the details. I was like, oh, this is a 3-day fast? And I was going to message you. I was going to message you and ask you, Kai, is this really like we fasted for 3 days, like no food and da-da-da-da-da-da? Which I didn't because I looked at the chat and I'm like, this is real. And I started getting thought. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do this. Da, da, da. Like that's the moment where like the enemy started creeping in and speaking these thoughts into me. Like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm gonna do this. Maybe I'll do like one day, and then like I think one day was good enough for me, And then throughout the day, like I feel like this God was speaking to me. It's like, oh, like you need to follow through with the fast. And so just also because like you guys were doing it, I'm like, okay, I don't want to let you guys down. I also don't want to like let the Holy Spirit down. And so I decided to keep through with it. But like it was the first day, it was extremely hard because I was like, whole body was just dry, right? And at the same time, it's like I know I had a lot of work. Mondays are typically my busy day from work. I have like a lot of meetings, and I'm like, I need food to be able to function, to be able to execute on this meeting like profoundly, right? And so that was kind of one of my biggest fear. A lot of times, like maybe I'm just gonna get a snack, I was gonna honestly, I thought about cheating my way. I'm like, I did the fast, but I didn't do it. But like I would have felt too guilty. Yeah, I would have felt too guilty. But yeah, the first day was the hardest. After I got through the first day, I'm like, oh snap, this is good. I can get through the second and the third day, And then the second day, I think the second day was the easiest for me. And then the third day, which was like, oh snap, I literally just can't wait. And towards like the end, as we talked about, was like, whoa, like my body was extremely cold because I'm physically fit, work out a lot, body fat percentage is up 8%. And so already in me, I don't have a whole lot of fat, right, for my body to like keep me warm. And so going 3 days without food, without any proteins, because like food, when you're eating food, it's thermogenic, it's what helps your body keep warm. I didn't have any of that. And so like I felt cold a lot of the time. But first, like,
Same.
Yeah, I thought I was sick at first. I was like, oh, am I actually getting sick? That's one of the thoughts that popped up in my head. Like, am I getting sick? Like, why am I so cold? Because I've never been that cold before. Why am I so cold? And then just kind of what helped me out was doing drinking tea and just anything warm to kind of keep my body warm. Like that definitely helped. But yeah, nonetheless, it was a difficult fast for the reason that I just told you. But at the same time, and we'll talk about like why it was so beneficial. But overall, it was good. So those were the good and the bad that I've struggled with now.
Yeah, I think I do want to hit on earlier. You said we did this fast to essentially grow closer to God, right?
Yeah.
We're not doing it for mental clarity reasons or any of that. And that's not true for me. I'm sorry. I did start this fast with some selfish desires of, hey, I want to see what I could do, one. And then two, I do want to like see what happens if I'm, I've been seeing so much of like stuff about Ramadan because Ramadan's
Yep,
going
yep,
on.
yep.
We have a few
And we have a lot
Muslim
of,
friends as
yeah.
well. They're going through Ramadan, and they tell us like the mental clarity you get. And I've done intermittent fasting before, so I know what that's like. And I'm like, I wonder what it's like to do this for an extended period of time. And so I was like, I want to try it for the sake of seeing how well my body would perform and how well my mental clarity could be, how more focused I could be. But man, throughout the fast, God just took me in a whole different direction, bro.
I'm
I
excited to hear
started
about
it that way, and I knew that I was going to lean on God during the fast, but my prayers changed. Like in the beginning, I was praying for, I was praying for others as I usually do, but I was also praying a lot for myself, things of like, oh, like give me, clarity during this fast, allow me to like be focused during this fast, give me the strength to finish this fast, and then during the middle and near the end, all of that essentially stopped. It was the only prayer that I had was, God, just bring me closer to you. God,
Oof, I
take me
love that.
closer to you.
I
Show
love
me, give me your wisdom. Show me what you want me to see.
Oof.
And to continue doing that. And it's crazy because I didn't start out in that direction, but that's where God took me.
I like that.
So what was your reason for starting the fast?
Yeah. From what I initially, like what I said in the beginning, it's like I feel like God called me to do that because I had no intentions of doing that, right? And so because if God is calling me to do something, like, and I know this is God's like willing, this is what He wants me to do. Like I can't say no because like there's consequences to. As I know, there's consequences when you don't listen to God, and so that was a big reason. And a big prayer that I've always been praying about is some of the goals that I've initiated for this year is like I want to get closer and closer and closer to God. There's constantly something that I pray, and so like my particular prayers are in the sense like, God, give me your mind, give me your eyes, give me your ears, give me your mouth, and give me your heart. Right? Those are some of like the biggest prayers that I've prayed, and so those are the prayers that I continue to pray over this specific fast, right? And I think to a large extent too, like as like my heart, I think there was a change in that. Even just like on the way I see like people, I think there's a change in that, So I feel, and I think this is something that is still progressing in the sense like I've prayed these prayers and God is slowly unveiling this to me, right? But the big reason that I did the fast was just to get closer to God, as you two did. It wasn't for any like physical, like for me, like none of it was like physical or like mentally. Like it just, like I think that I'm physically I'm good, and mentally I think I've been pretty clear. Like I execute on what I need to do on a daily basis. So like none of it was performance wise. It was just more
just so you
spiritual.
should not fast if you're trying to like do it for a physical.
Yeah,
like that's terrible for you. Do not do that because you're just gonna.
No, I don't think that's terrible. For doing like for physical reasons, no, I think it's good.
Shouldn't. No, like for someone who's trying to lose weight, they should not fast and starve themselves to lose weight. That's not a sustainable way for most people.
It's not sustainable. It's really not.
I would not recommend to do that at all.
But obviously, I think this is still on topic. But there are big benefits to fasting for physical reasons and for mental clarity reasons because when you go an extended period of time without your body ingesting or digesting food, right? There's a big reset that happens from a digestive system. And it's a lot of that reset. I think a lot of people need that reset, quite frankly. A lot of people need to go through that reset. So your digestive system just kind of resets. It clears out a lot of just junk that you have within your body. And I think there's also like healing in that process too as well.
Yeah, your body produces more, I think it's stem cells or
whatever
cells that like the deep healing cells. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Yeah, no, because I've read about this before. Like I don't know the intricate details. It's been a while, but like I used to research and do a lot. Like I used to research and do a lot of research on this specific topic. But also just like for the mental perspective, like a lot of time I was like very clear. I could like it seems like there was like a veil that was lifted up, and I was like very clear, very sharp. I'm like, kind of like the Matrix type thing, you know? So I think those are like the physical benefit that is not spiritual, but like the spiritual reasons, like you get deeper with God, you hear His voice, it's clearer, right? It's more clear, like, oh God, this is, and I want you to talk about like your experience that you told me when you were doing the track, because I thought that was so beautiful. But it's, you know for sure that God is talking to you, right? And you just like hear it so clearly. It's funny. I was talking to one of my homies last night, and I told him about the fast that I did. He's Muslim, you know, and I told him about the fast that I did, and I was like, he's like, well, why did you do the fast? Like, what was kind of like the benefit that you derived from that? I was like, yeah, dude, like I heard Jesus speaking to me. He's like, you did? And he's like, Jesus is God, right? He's like, yeah, I believe that Jesus is God. He was asking me that question. He's like, oh, that's interesting. And then I asked him, because he's Muslim, he's like, do you not hear God speak to you? And I don't recall exactly what he says. He's like, no, not necessarily. He told me like that he doesn't necessarily hear him speak. Like he prays to God and knows that God listens, you know. But nonetheless, is that based upon this fact, like it was significantly easier for me to hear the voice of God. And Kai, dude, I love the story that you told me the other day about how you clearly heard God's voice speaking to you when you were when you were like running. Like I thought that was so beautiful. Like please, like share that.
Yeah. So I want to preface this by saying that there's a lot of times I hear voices in my head that are like my own thoughts.
Yeah.
And then there are other times I hear voices and I believe them to be either God's or the devil's or whatever. And it's hard for me to like figure out which is my own thought, which is from God, which is from the devil. And that's always been something I struggle with. And I think that one of the beautiful ways that God works is that he'll speak to you in a way that you can understand and receive it. And so he speaks to everyone differently in that way. And I find that so beautiful. And for me, a lot of my, doubts during this fast were what thoughts are from God. I don't know what thoughts are from God, what thoughts are from me, and what thoughts are from the devil. And I know that there are certain things like, I know for a fact if I'm trying to break the fast and those thoughts are break those fast, that's from the devil, right?
Yep.
Because the purpose is to grow closer to God. So anything that takes me away is the devil. That I can easily discern. But then what's from me? What are things I'm setting on myself? And what are things that God's telling me to do? Because they sound the same, like when I'm mentally thinking about it. So anyways, I made sure like, okay, I'm still going to keep myself exercising. I'm going to keep going on my runs. And they're very light runs. I'm literally like barely jogging. There's this like 60-year-old grandpa who's running faster than me. And I'm on this run. And throughout the first 3 days, essentially, I just said, because I can't listen to music or anything else that's not either, godly related, worship music. And I was like, worship while running sounds kind of like weird because I want to use worship when I'm like worshiping. So I was like, I'm gonna listen to Psalms, and I just found this YouTube link, and I pulled up Psalms. I'm just listening to it. Day one, I ran. I don't know how far, but I got from maybe 1 to I think 15-ish or 12 to 15. Can't quite remember.
So what do you mean? Minutes?
Psalms. No, Psalms.
Oh, okay,
the book of Psalms. Like,
Gotcha.
And then day 2, I think I got to 28, I believe. I think it was.
Psalms is a long. It's an extensive book.
It's long, yeah. And then day 3, and every day I'm asking God like, oh, when should I go? Like, how long should I go for? And then he'll give me a number. I'm like, all right, go to that. And then so that's why I have those numbers. And then day 3, I was like, I started the run. I was like, all right, God, what number should I be at? And I'm like at 28 at this just starting, and he's like 50. And I'm like 50.
That's the extent of the book, yeah. Well, it's more than actually double. It's double that, like 100 and something.
Yeah. And I'm like 50. That's almost double what I've done the day 1 and 2. And today's the 3rd day of the fast when I'm the weakest.
Yeah.
I'm like 50. Are you? Oh man, are you sure, God? So I'm just like, all right, fine. I'll just go. I'll just see what happens. So I just start running, and I'm just listening to Psalms, and I'm just like doing my little trot. And people are there. They come and go. I'm definitely there longer than anyone was there. And around like 40, I was like, man, this is super tough. I think I'm gonna stop at like 45. Like my mind is making up all these excuses telling me to stop. I'm like literally like my head's starting to hurt. I'm slowing down a little bit more. And around like 43, 45-ish, I just, for some reason, God was like, stay in lane 3. So I was just in lane 3. I never moved from lane 3 after that. And I don't know why I didn't move from lane 3. I just felt like I should do that. And there's even this, I remember so clearly, there's this puddle in the middle of the track, only on like lane 3 and 4, but it was deepest on 3. And I would have to step in that puddle in order to keep staying on lane 3. But I just kept doing it. I didn't care. I was like, all right, I'm gonna stay in lane 3. And then I just remember like, okay, this is getting tougher and tougher, but I'm listening, and the word of Psalms is helping me get through it, because at least there's something for me to like grasp onto. And when 49 came around, and I was about to end, 50 came around. I was about to end at the end of 50, because the track essentially has one start point, right? And I'm just going around the entire track when usually I would end in the same place I started, and I always do that, and I always leave in the same place in the same way. And I'm just running, and I remember 50 starting, and I'm like, okay, cool, I can exit now after this. It won't matter if I leave because I'm on 50, I hit 50, God told me to go to 50, I'm gonna stop at the end of 50. And as soon as I'm nearing the exit and I'm like, okay, I'm good, I'm done, and I'm about to leave, and I'm literally like taking my steps off, Psalms 50 ends. At that exact moment, 51 begins as I'm leaving.
That's crazy.
I'm just like, yo.
That's crazy.
The timing of that is insane.
That's
first of all, like God told me to stay on lane 3 first, and I didn't think about this at the time. But during worship, they were talking about. They just brought this. It was the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, right? So 3 being symbolic. I didn't know why I was on 3, but I'm guessing that's why. It was God speaking to me and telling me like, have more faith in me, because I am telling you what to do. I am guiding you.
I like that.
And that's essentially the message that I got from him. And to just have more faith. And that, to me, that was a crazy experience.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. And so another thing that you said, right, is being able to distinguish when God is speaking to you, when that's the enemy, and when it's yourself speaking to you. I think sometimes that's, personally me, it's something that I struggle with, trying to distinguish the linear between who is actually speaking to me at this current time, right? And over time, you start to know when you speak to yourself, like your subconscious, when God's speaking to you, and also when the enemy is speaking to you. Like Kai says, like the enemy, the devil, when he's speaking to you, is always a lie about you, and it's always something that's gonna bring you down or derail you for something that you know that's good. It's always in a negative aspect when the enemy is speaking to you. So like it's, when you hear those voices in your head, like you can just look back. Okay, who's speaking to me? Is it something that's helped me? Is it something that has helped me progress and advance, or is it not? Right. And so if it's not, then you could kind of distinguish. Like, yeah, that's the enemy speaking to you, right? And then from God's perspective, you have, first of all, you have to understand who God is, right? And how you know who God is by reading more of the Bible. You understand more of his nature and who he is. And so when he speaks to you, you know, okay, this is the voice of the Holy Spirit, right? I want you to do this, da-da-da-da-da-da. And for me specifically, I've learned to speak to God like every single day in my personal life, encounter through everything that I do. You know, it's like your best friend, like you're talking to your best friend, right? And God loves that because he's so desperate. I don't want to say desperate, but he so wants that relationship with us. Is what I've learned, right? And so the more that you build this relationship with him, the more that you have this relationship with God, it's easier and easier to distinguish and to know his voice, right? It's like you will never forget the voice of your mother, right? You will never forget that, even if she's however far away. If you hear a voice, that's her. It's like you will know that's your mom. And so as you build that relationship with God, like you know his voice, right? Yeah. And so that's a big part of why me specifically underwent this fast, just so I can hear that voice clearer and clearer and clearer, you know. But yeah, that I think that was good. Just kind of touching upon like knowing which voice is of God, you know.
Yeah, that was one of the things I really struggled with because I wasn't sure. It was like tough for me to distinguish between the two. But I just relied on faith.
Yeah.
And I think through the word, reading the Bible more and letting myself like intuitively be guided. I felt like a lot of that was happening during these last couple of days where, you know, usually I'm like, all right, I'm going to like, cause I'm trying to read through the entire Bible. So I was on near the end of Numbers when I was about to start. And I was just like, during this fast, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm going to intuitively follow where my heart is telling me to read. And so I mainly stayed in the New Testament. And it was so funny. Like, you were talking about, we were talking about, I was telling you what I was reading. You're like, oh, dude, I was literally reading the same thing,
honestly.
And I was like, if I had gone with my own, like, hard-headedness, stubbornness of this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to get through this Bible, then I would still be reading Numbers. Yep. I wouldn't have all the revelations. And I think a lot of that is feeling that out intuitively because God is going to guide you in that direction when you're seeking him. I don't think that when you're seeking God, God will purposely allow you to be led in a way that's not from him. So I think for any purpose that is related to God, always just trust in him.
Yep.
Where your heart tells you to go, your first intuitive instinct, I find that to be the closest to what God is directly telling me. And it brings me back to, again, I started this. intuitively wanting to get more mental clarity, seeing what I could push my body and my mind to do, and knowing that I would lean on God as a method to deliver me strength.
Yep.
But then God was like, no, you're doing this to get close to me, and this is how you're going to do it, and you're going to do all these things. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. And I didn't even know a lot of that until I pulled up. I wanted to share this specific phrase about, essentially, Jesus talks about why.
You were taking notes throughout the reading. As you were reading, you're taking notes.
Yes, for certain passages. Where is it?
Ooh, I like the notebook. What does it say? The back of it?
Oh, it's a constant. I got it from one of those fairs, business fairs. It's Constant Contact. They're an email CRM marketing service.
Wait. But and did you put the with God?
Yeah, I wrote with God.
I thought I was like, that's good.
Yeah, I wrote with God because I found this. I was like, oh, I need a notebook.
That's good.
But so in Luke chapter 5:34, Jesus talks about fasting. The Pharisees ask Jesus why his followers do not fast like John the Baptist's, and Jesus said to them, "Can you make wedding guests fast while the bridegroom is with them? The days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and then they will fast in those days." So in a sense, it suggests that in that statement, Jesus basically saying, I'm still here with my followers. There's no need for them to fast. There will be a day when I'm not here, and then they will fast in those days. So what it suggests to me is that when you feel Jesus is far from you, that's when you fast to bring him back close to you.
That's good.
And when you feel that he's close to you, you don't have to fast. And,
that's so good.
He also speaks of a parable afterwards and explains that his way is the new way and that the old teaching cannot possibly contain the new teaching. And it's essentially talking about the wine. He talks about the old ways being you wouldn't put new wine in an old wine basket because back then the wine baskets expand when the wine ferments. If you put old wine in a hardened or new wine in a hardened old wine basket, it would explode. It wouldn't be able to contain it. So essentially, he was saying that his way is the new way, and that it can't possibly contain the new teachings, for they will burst. And then his last statement of, "And no one after drinking old wine desires the new," meaning that if you're still stuck in the old ways, you cannot possibly accept Jesus in the new ways.
Oof, that's so good.
Your mind is too caught.
Oof, that's good.
So essentially, that was also a direct message of, the old ways of fasting was seen as a ritual sacrifice. God, I want something. Please give me this thing. I'm fasting to give you, so that you will give me this thing. Please accept my sacrifice, right? But that's the old way. Then, to gain favor from God by fasting will prevent you from finding the new way, which is just to get God close to you. So the new way of fasting the only purpose should just be for you to get closer to God, for you to get closer to Jesus. And it's so interesting that before I even read this, my prayers, my mind, my body was already shifting in that direction. I noticed myself stopped praying for a lot of the things I was praying for from the beginning, and only focusing on just, God, give me more wisdom. God, bring me closer to you. God, let me grow with you. All of these things. And this kind of solidified it, because I remember reading this on day 3, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. I didn't even know why we fast. I thought it was a sign of sacrifice and to please God, but it's not. It's not to gain approval. It's just to get closer to God.
I love that. Oof, that's so good. There are a couple of things I want to touch upon that. It's that's so good. So the old and the new, I think that was very good, and specifically just kind of going into my personal experience, because one is you can't chase two things at the same time, because I think what a lot of people would do, what I did, I was like, I'm gonna serve the world, I'm gonna be in the world, and I'm gonna also at the same time try to be in God and try to build that relationship. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. I think a lot of time people just try to use God for their personal gains, because I'm doing this, I'm doing things my way. Oh, this doesn't work. Let me go and pray to God and ask Him to give this thing to me. So that's what I've personally done in the past. It doesn't work that way. If you're somebody that's just trying to build your faith and relationship with God, it's you do have to make that choice. You can't both be in the world, chase the worldly things, and at the same time try to chase God. God is a very jealous God. He is. He wants you all to Himself. and like he does that. He wants you all to himself. So like if you're gonna pursue him, like only pursue God, you know. And again, for me, I think a big thing is I was always so private about my relationship with him. I was like, I didn't want to tell anybody. Except it was like a really close friend of mine. You know, but now, even like with this podcast, like we talk about God, it's like something that I publicized. Like I love God, I love Jesus. Like I talk about him everywhere. Like and those came about to be as I slowly continue to like acknowledge, to seek him, his heart, and just you slowly, for me personally, slowly over time, just become obsessed and in love. Hence, me starting this, putting this podcast together. Like, I want to talk about God. And one is like prove his existence, right? And who he is. And at the same time, through this pursuit, I'm also deepening that relationship with him. I truly do feel that a big call to start this podcast. He called me to start this podcast, because, again, in the past, I just didn't want to talk about God. I was so shy of it, Mm-hmm. I was so shy of knowing, because people think it's a weird thing. The world thinks it's a weird thing. And so when you're in the world, you don't want to talk about him, because people are going to think that you're weird, because it's not something that is common and that's famous and is popular to talk about. And so a lot of people, again, this is like me talking to myself back then, a lot of people do fear talking about him because they're feared to be criticized and essentially made fun of, because in the world, it's not popular and it's not cool to talk about the Holy Spirit, to talk about him, But again, now it's something that, because now I'm more in God, I'm not that perfect. I'm not saying I'm like, I'm head over heels, but that's something that I'm continuously building.
Yeah, we're seeking him.
Yeah, we're seeking, right? And it's that intent, and God knows the heart. You can't try to lie your way into it. And now I'm like, okay, cool. Like I share my experience about him on social media, and I think that's been a big thing for me. Yeah. So just kind of going back, like from what you said, it's like you can't be tiptoeing and things like that. You have to, just choose and seek him, man. Like as a result of that, and I don't want people to see God because of their own personal gains, because a lot of people do that. But as a result,
I think it's okay, because that's what you want, and you're seeking God, and I think he will, if you truly seek him, he will guide you in that way that you will be receptive. So I started seeking him for my own personal gain. I think a lot of people do that. A lot of people turn towards God when they're in a state where they have nowhere else to go. Maybe there's some illness they have they can't cure. The doctors say that there's no cure for it. Maybe they're financially in ruins and they're like, I see no way out. Yeah. And they turn towards God. I wouldn't say that's a selfish reason to do it. You have nowhere else to go. You're in desperation. Yeah. God will still talk to you in those ways. Yeah. You don't have to be perfect. And like, I think the true nature of seeking God is to be truthful about where you're at and seek him with that truth. Yeah. And that's fine for right now. If you're seeking him for something that you want, just know and be open to him speaking to you in his way, and don't be so set on your ways of like, I need to get this and I'm only going to get this, and God, if you don't give me this, then you don't exist. Like, that's when it's wrong. Yeah. But if you're like truthfully seeking him and you're coming at him open-hearted and vulnerable, I think he will speak to you in where you're at.
Dude, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And because the angle in which I was coming from, again, this is from my experience. Something bad happens, I'm like, oh God, like please take this pain away, or like don't allow this to happen. Like if you do this thing for me, then like I'm gonna serve you and I'm gonna worship you like forever. Yeah. So that's how I went about it. And so I try to use God for my personal gains in that aspect, to try to prevent pain and to just again for my personal gains. Like don't do that. God knows your heart. God knows your heart.
There's actually a passage in the Bible not doing oaths. I forgot where, but there's somewhere in the Bible that says don't do oaths with God. Like don't make oaths with God.
Exactly. It was a bad thing that I was doing, And again, honestly, it's just this is just as a direct consequence of that. And I don't want to use that word, direct consequence, but just as you continue to develop this relationship, your life just becomes blessed, bro. You just see opportunities pop up to you left and right. Yeah. You're like, what is going on?
Dude, it's so funny that you say that, because my life is not that different from a year ago. But, but like if I'm on paper, right, almost everything is the same. But I feel so much more blessed, man.
Dude, so much more blessed.
I feel so much happier. I feel so much more peace.
So much more peace.
It's crazy.
And
the only difference is I put God first.
Exactly.
That's it.
Oof.
My life is the same though.
This is giving me goosebumps.
And it's fine. And I'm fine with God's timeline, and I know that I have, and I actually feel like I'm doing more than I would have if I wasn't following God.
It's like you're doing less but gaining more.
Yeah.
To next,
Yes.
you know, you're
and
doing
even for someone like people like us who are ambitious, even though, because I used to feel so like, oh man, I'm like so behind. I haven't hit this. I haven't done that. I haven't reached these goals. Like my business is like stale. It's like stuck here. It's not growing, and all of this stuff. Now I'm just like, I see the same perspective. I still have the ambition to grow, but I am at peace with what's currently happening, knowing that it's in God's hands, and I'm doing everything I can on my end, and that the rest is up to Him.
that's good.
And I can, you know, I'm cool with that.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is a big push, and it's a big benefit of everything that you're doing it in alignment with God. And so I was in Tampa visiting my homie Rico, and the corporation that he works for, like the $1 billion corporation, you know, and he was telling me the story like how the CEO like loves God, and the CEO always tells them in the meetings that he built this company. Okay, let me rephrase this. He built this company with God, meaning God directed every step of him building that company to the size that it was at, dude. And that just inspired me so much, right? For example, like if you have something that you want to do, a lot of times we will try to do it by ourselves, but when you just include God in the picture, that thing just flourishes. When you include God in the picture of what you're doing, that thing just like flourishes. It's not gonna happen overnight, you know. It won't happen overnight, but it will help. It will happen, right? And I think just the fact that you're doing that with God, he places like His blessing on that. It's not something that can break because you use Him as the foundation to build that specific thing, right? And there's a lot of verses in the Bible that, you know, that tells us about building our foundation with God. And so when you build the foundation with God, it's indestructible. You can't destroy that.
Yeah.
You know.
The fool builds on sand.
Yeah. So don't build a corporation. If you're building a company, which we're both business builders, don't build it on sand. You know.
Yes.
Have God as the foundation.
Yep. So would you do a fast again?
Yeah, we'll do a fast again. And so I was texting my homies like, this is probably something I want to do at the beginning of the year and the end of the year, right?
Wouldn't that be the same time, beginning and the end of the year?
Okay. But yes,
Sorry.
yeah, no, you know, good point. But most of it's like start going into the year, maybe get like closer to the end of the year, then doing it again.
Yeah.
You know, because I want to open up the year. It's like a cool. No, actually, beginning and end of the year. So if I fast in January and fast again in December,
they're 2 months apart. They're not even a month apart.
If
you fast in December,
so if you
fast in January, the end of the year is December. The beginning of the year is January. You would be fasting within a month apart.
Okay, so I meant it in this. Okay, I meant it in this aspect. So I'm gonna fast. Okay, so January, and then I'm gonna fast. January is for like example of 2024, for example. If I did a fast in January 2024, and then do another fast in December 2025.
Yeah, but then wouldn't you do another fast of January 2026?
Which you are right?
That's why I'm confused.
Which you are right about that. But like the point is, like I'm gonna do the fast like just like maybe twice a year, maybe even more.
Yeah,
you know,
I want to incorporate it. I think whenever I'm gonna intuitively follow. I think whenever I feel that, you know, whether it's the burdens of all of the habits or stress or throughout my life are being placed on me, and I feel myself growing further from God, then I think that's when I'll decide to do fasts. And I don't know if I'm like right now I'm doing a fast for the next 40 days, but just half fast, like intermittent fasting until the afternoon, and still maintaining some of the habits that I carried through during these first 3 days, which I think were really beneficial for me, not just productivity wise, but growing closer to God and giving, like, dude, I didn't cry at all the first 3 days of the fast. I cried yesterday and this morning.
Oof.
Because I don't know why. I don't even know why I'm crying.
Dude, because here's what I believe was happening. Because like your spirit is now just so sensitive, bro. Because dude, I cry all the time. Whenever I'm in God's presence, I'm praying, I'm worshiping. Like I'm always crying, bro. I'm always crying. Like that's just something. Because like as your spirit starts to mature, like it's so sensitive, bro.
That's true. I did find that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's very sensitive. And just like anything of God, of the Holy Spirit, you feel that, and your body just doesn't even know how to handle it. Like you just start like weeping, you know. And it's it's just, yeah, man. It's something, man. It's something. But yeah, man. Just like literally every day this fast, like I was crying especially when I'm worshiping, bro. There's just some words that I hear, bro. Like I just melt. Honestly, like I just melt. And here's the thing, bro. in today's society, they say like men shouldn't cry, men should be all tough and things like that. Like, dude, I hate that.
I don't cry at all.
I hate that.
I literally don't cry.
Yeah.
Except I don't know why I cried with God.
Yeah,
This is the first time I cried in a long time.
Oh, really? Oh, dude.
The other time was the run that I posted. And
Yeah.
that was also, I remember crying because I was talking to God.
Yeah. Oof.
The last 3 times I've cried in my life, to just being the last 2 days,
That's interesting.
have all been with God. I
Yeah.
don't cry normally.
Yeah, dude.
I see
I'm
a
weeper.
sad movie. I'm like, heart of stone.
This guy's very stoic. This guy, but I feel like your spirit it's getting more and more sensitive. It's getting more and more sensitive.
Yeah.
And so like you're more sensitive to the like things of like the Holy Spirit, perhaps.
Yeah.
And so when you like for me again, for my specific example, so when I'm listening to praise, when I'm listening to worship, like and I just melt, bro. I'm like, oh my God, it's so good. Yeah. Even when I'm praying, bro, like I'll just start crying. Like I don't know why, like I'll just start crying. You know. So I think again, over time, like your spirit just becomes like more sensitive to things of the spirit. And man, I think there's just like so much more we can talk about when we, like in reference to like the spirit, but I think just kind of centralize it around like the fasting. But
what would you do differently if you?
What would I do differently this fast if I had to do it again?
Yeah.
What a good question.
There are a few changes I would make.
What a good question. Because the thing with this, because like I was still working like throughout every day, and maybe next time though, like I wouldn't work as much. Like I would plan it more. Like okay, these 2 specific days, I just want to give it to God. So like I'm gonna do very little amount of work, and so literally the whole day I'm like praising, worship, listening, reading my Bible, and maybe this time I'll work out a little bit too as well. Yeah. But I would just extract work and then just give all those 3 days to God specifically. Because like this time, like I was doing a lot of work in between, like, and it definitely helped out because like I was so busy and I didn't really have to think that I was fasting. Yeah. You know, so I think that's the one thing that I would do differently.
Yeah, I remember having the idea during maybe I should have done it. Maybe this was God speaking to me, but I didn't do this. Remember like on the second day, I was like, man, if I get enough of my work done, I could have the 3rd day no work. Yeah. And I could just like read the Bible and do Bible study and all of that. And I wasn't able to do that. I still had work I needed to do, but that is something that I would do too. I think I would try and schedule it so I remove some of the workload and I'd be able to spend more time deeper in prayer and deeper in Bible study. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest one. And dude, I kind of like want to make it even like a
7-day fast.
I don't know if, dude, 7 is, I might go 5 next time max, but dude, 3 was almost going to get, but I want to see if it's because of the like anticipation of breaking the fast that made me like start to hurt more. Yeah. Because I wonder if I pushed it to the next day that it wouldn't have been as painful. You know? Because usually when I go to sleep, I feel much better, and when I wake up, I don't feel as hungry. You know? Actually, I want to try that next time.
Yeah, I think like
3 or 5, and also I want to go somewhere, man. I want to be out of my environment. I don't want to have the normal things. I want to like go to the mountains or something, rent a cabin out, like still have internet, so like we can still do work, but dude, like go somewhere where it's like higher up, elevation wise. I think that would be cool.
I think that would be cool. Yeah. I think that would be. But like when we broke our fast, so going 3 days without food, and then abruptly digesting food, my stomach went crazy. Oh, yes. I told you, like my stomach went crazy.
That was tough, man.
Yeah, and we both experienced the same thing, but to different degrees, to different levels. So we broke our fast. Like we went after like worship. Now we ran to the car. Oh, we didn't run directly to the car, but like we waited a couple minutes, and then we went to the car. We prayed, and then we had like strawberries, and then we had what was that thing? We had dates. It wasn't
just strawberries.
It was strawberry dates.
It was organic.
Dang, wow!
It's organic.
Okay, it was organic.
It was some good strawberries,
but nonetheless, it was still strawberry.
Clean strawberries. Strawberries from God.
Okay. We broke our fast with clean strawberries. Let's say that, and then we had dates, and then we had the beef jerky thing. And then after that we went to the restaurant, and then we went to like the hibachi place, the hibachi grill, Kyoto, and then that's like we had like a bigger meal. So I was eating, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is good. And remember that when I told you, like, dude, I was like, this is not gonna be enough. We need to order some more stuff. And then as I said that, it's like eating a little bit more, like my stomach started hurting like crazy. I'm like, what the heck is going on? At first I thought it was the food. I'm like, it can't be the food. Like, this is good quality food.
Yeah.
And so I think we talked about this. Like, I think my stomach was just going through like a reset. Going through a reset against, like, it was maybe punishment. Like, yo, you went 3 days without feeding me. Like, don't do this again. You know, but nah, I don't think that's actually what. But yeah, it's my stomach was hurting a lot after I started eating again. You know, and then essentially when I went home, dumped it out, dumped the food in the toilet, went to bed, and I woke up in the morning. Like the next morning, like I woke up, I felt so good, bro. Like I felt so good. I felt like it was amazing. Like I had a lot of energy. Like I just had so much energy and just like was just very productive. And like this is yesterday. I was eating like the whole day, and I haven't eaten much today, but like I'm gonna eat throughout like the whole day again. You know, just kind of replenish.
We kind of flipped. Like for me, I felt discomfort when I was eating.
You felt discomfort?
Yeah, and this is another thing I would change next time. I would like plan a pre-fast, like break my fast with a pre-meal.
Yeah.
And then wait an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and then go for the real meal.
Yeah.
It's like, I did realize it really was like tough on our stomachs. Yeah. Like the entire, like it felt like my stomach was just restarting essentially, and it didn't feel quite painful. It just felt really weird and heavy. And for me though, when I got home, I started feeling a little bit better. Passed some gas. Like, everything was like
he destroyed the bath. He destroyed.
I actually didn't.
I'm glad, dude. I'm so glad you didn't do that in the car, bro.
I was waiting for you to leave the car before I did it. As soon as you left,
bro. I would have been so mad.
Dude, I felt so good that night. It was like, oh, I have energy again. I did like 3 hours of work. I felt great.
Yeah, I didn't.
And then I went to sleep. I woke up. Dude, yesterday was tough.
Really?
It was so tough for me.
Why?
I don't know. I felt like I didn't have much energy.
Wait, yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah.
Oh my God.
The day after the fast, yeah, dude, I did not have much energy.
I feel like I could pick up the world.
My workout was so, dude, I was lifting like 60% of what I used to lift.
Interesting.
I was like, dang, this is bad.
That's very interesting, bro.
But I feel a little better today.
That's good.
But I also think it's because I was also fasting as well before my workout, and yeah,
maybe that's why. But yeah, that's a bit interesting, dude. It's something that bro. So we did 3 days, bro. Like, talking about Jesus went 40 days, bro. 40 days. Do you think that's humanly? I'm sure it is humanly possible to go 40 days, but it's like, I don't know, man. That's 40 days, no food. That's.
I think it's humanly possible, but
I think you just have to be so spiritually inclined and in tune.
You got to have doctors on deck too. Like, keeping track of your bodily. I've heard of people trying it and dying.
Bro, and here's the thing, bro. I hear stories of people, dude, they're just so spiritually connected that they don't even require the daily like function and activities that the body needs to survive. Like I heard a story about a guy that he was so spiritually inclined with spiritually connected with God, to like he didn't need sleep, bro. He could just go days without sleeping, and he was fine, bro.
Yeah, I've heard of like Buddhist monks meditating for days, not eating, not sleeping, just meditating.
Yeah, and this is something. This is like beyond logic. Be like, science will tell like this is impossible, bro. But like, and I'll say this, but when you're just spiritually in tune and spiritually connected with God, literally, like, there's nothing that is impossible. To do. And so I think that's also like progress. I guess we progress in this relationship with God. Like, I just want to be able to do these things, because like that's our birthright. We should be able to do these things, right? As we mature in the spirit, we should be able to do these things, But there's just multiple stories that I hear. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Like things that is not logical it's just not. It doesn't seem physically possible to happen. To happen. Dude, I heard about this is from a podcast I was listening to earlier. Dude, a podcast that you have to listen to by Damon Thompson, bro. You have to listen to Damon Thompson, bro. So he was telling a story about this, and maybe we'll cut the podcast after this, but like he was telling about a guy that he was so spiritually in tune with God. He loved God so much, but then God was calling him to do something, and he didn't have the means to do that specific thing. And God was telling him to go, I think it was like to I don't know if it was like China, but like just somewhere overseas. And this guy lived in Texas, and he didn't have money for like a plane ticket, God. And so he was praying to God, and God literally told him to go into the airport. No money, go to the airport. right? And so this guy goes to the airport. He's thinking somebody's gonna like pay for his ticket or something, and things like that. So okay, God, I'm at the airport. Who should I be meeting? Who should I be seeing, right? And so God tells him to go to the washroom. So he takes his bag. He goes to the washroom. God tells him to pay there for 30 minutes, and he pays for 30 minutes. And then God tells him, okay, now leave. He opens the door. This guy's in China, from Texas, airport Texas to China.
Teleported to China?
Literally, bro.
You telling me this man got through Chinese
border
security?
I don't know how.
No passport?
I don't know how this. Don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
But obviously this is like beyond any logical things that is,
Yeah.
But
I'm hesitant to believe stuff like that.
I'm not, bro.
Not that
I am not at all.
Not that I doubt God is able to do these things,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm hesitant whenever man shares these things because
Why?
I don't know. Because I don't know if it's from him or God. He could have made that story up.
Yes, you're right.
And a lot of people do that.
Right. Look,
and use God's name in vain. And
Yeah.
so I'm always cynical about these things.
And yes, you should be, and you should be, because a lot of people would use God's name in vain. But then again, this is like a pastor that I've been following for a very long time. He's not somebody to lie about things like that. And he shares these things to encourage us that these things are possible in the spirit, right? These things are possible in the spirit, right? And I believe that. And one of the reasons that I believe that, because me growing up in Cameroon, dude, there's like crazy things that happen. And it's almost stupid for me to not believe it. And we won't dive into this specific podcast. But like, bro, when you live in Africa, bro, I always say that 90+% of people in Africa believe God, because they see a lot of the things. They see a lot of devil activities, like things that happen from the opposition, and so it's impossible to not believe in God.
Yeah.
Because they're just, dude. I mean, I don't want to talk about it in this podcast today. We'll save another episode for that. But yeah, it gets deep, bro. It gets deep, man. It gets deep. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anything else you want to add to this, bro?
You got any recommendations for someone thinking about doing a fast?
Yeah, and I think your heart.
First of all, do it. You should do it.
Yeah, you should do it. And I think your heart has to be in a good place. Like, your heart has to be in a good place. Don't do it because, like, oh, I want to use God to try to, to take this, for him to give it to me. Like, no, don't do that. God knows the heart. So, like, you just, before you start doing it, pray about it, right? And then just make sure your heart is in the right place and then to pursue that.
Yep.
That's what.
I think it's helpful to recognize that you're fasting to remove all of your body's desires.
Yep.
And if you fill that with other things other than God, for example, let's say you're fasting for food, but you're still like, doing sinful things, or you're on social media scrolling, or you're not really like taking you're distracting the hunger instead of leaning into the hunger with God, then I think it takes away from that experience. So I would recommend to do a full fast from everything, not just food, but from social media and anything else that you feel like you're doing in life that's holding you back, to give yourself a full cleanse, and then to just embrace those moments with God.
Absolutely. I love that. So yeah, that's
do one day if this is the first time you're doing it,
Yeah.
and work your way up. You don't have to jump to 3 days.
Yeah. We're not responsible. We're not responsible for anything that happens to you.
Consult your doctor first.
Yeah. And I think that's always a disclaimer. We have to say to protect ourselves. Like, just always, with everything that you do, consult legal, consult your doctor.
This is your podcast. I'm not really liable.
So he's not. Anyway, so yeah, just. I don't want to say take it. I don't want to say take it with a grain of salt, but you just always do this with your own conscience, and like, don't try to. If somebody tells you to do something, like, research it, right, or pray about it before you actually ever.
Now, if you've been praying about whether you should do a fast, and you see this episode and you're watching this,
this is
I take
sign.
that as a sign.
Yeah,
I take that as a sign.
Ooh, that's okay. Maybe this is gonna be the last statement that we say. But if you pray about something, I've noticed for myself. If you pray about something,
oh, dude,
if you pray about something, and then you're waiting for like an answer from God, and you're just waiting, and you don't know specifically if what you hear is from God. If, for example, like, if you hear your thoughts telling you something that in regards to the direction that you need to go to, and you're not sure if it's from God, typically what happens is the following. You hear the same statement over and over. It may not be from yourself. You hear the same statement from a friend or from a pastor or just from anybody. But the thing is, like, those statements that you will hear are consecutive. Like, you hear it multiple times. And typically that's when I know, oh, okay, this is the Holy Spirit telling me that I need to do something, right? Because a lot of times when I'm praying for something, I'll either hear it from my friends. They'll tell me like the answers to what I need to hear, or like when I'm in church, like the pastor would say it, and he's like literally looking at me, like, because I remember this is when Iris was praying, you know, bro, and I've been praying to God like, what do you want me to do? Tell me what you want me to do, you know? And in my heads, I'm here like, you know, get closer, you know? And bro, this is crazy, it's scary. Iris was preaching the one Sunday, but she looks at me, bro. She looks at me, she's like, get closer. I'm like, bro, I almost started crying. I think I told you about this, bro. Yeah. I get closer. In my head, I'm like, how much closer do you want me to get? You know, that was literally like, how much closer do you want me to get? So yeah, that was that experience. But anyway, you were gonna add on top of that.
Yeah, that was a good point, because I remember yesterday, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have my intermittent fast. I'm gonna break it at 5 p.m. and stuff, and then. But yesterday I was like, man, I feel so down and tired. I'm about to go work out right now. I'm gonna have no energy. I'm gonna just, like, I already got through the rest of the initial day. I remember in my head, I was like, I don't know if I should be doing this, but I'm gonna try it and see what happens. So I broke my fast before I worked out. Originally, I planned to break my fast after I work out, right? But I ate the food and I went there. Horrible workout. I still got through it, but it was like terrible. And I just remember like I was being unsure about whether I should have eaten. And bro, there's this guy in the gym. Never seen him before in my life.
Fitness?
Yes, he's just wearing a sweatshirt. It just says the word fast. That's it. So today I'm like, I'm not gonna eat before I go work out. I'm gonna fast. It could be signs like that. Yeah. I didn't even ask for it. I just prayed about my insecure, like the unknown. I just prayed about my doubts, my thoughts, and then God answered.
Amen.
And he answered in a way that I would see and be like, oh wow, that's pretty like.
Amen.
That's pretty direct.
That's beautiful.
Anyways,
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
this
beautiful.
was a great experience. I wholly recommend it. Yeah, it really does help reset, and I think definitely after these last couple of days, my life has changed.
Amen.
For sure.
Let's go. All right, guys, that was concluded for episode number 9 of Beyond Logic Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys
Thank you.
in the next episode.
Peace.